Hello everyone! Today I want to share my Zhongli build and his team compositions with you in the short guide. As always, I start with the build, then go over the team compositions and show some Abyss gameplay at the end.
I will have order. Oni coming through.
I'd say Zhongli is definitely a utility pick. He has a very strong shield and also decreases enemies' resistances. But over the course of a longer fight, he doesn't provide too much damage. So you can get away with a very budget build, just build a bunch of HP and energy recharge and that's fine. But in the long run, you definitely want to invest in some damage stats because his ultimate burst skill can hit quite hard, and if you need some burst damage, he can definitely provide that. So you definitely want to have around 30k HP as a sweet spot in my opinion, and you don't need too much energy recharge because his ultimate burst skill only costs 40 energy. So you might even get away with 120%, or I'd say 140% is definitely enough. And if you want him to deal some damage, you obviously need geo damage bonus for him, and as much crit rate and crit damage as you can get. Elemental Mastery obviously does nothing for geo characters. As for talents, this character is all about his shield, so definitely prioritize leveling the elemental skill, then the elemental burst skill, and you can ignore the normal attacks. For constellations, most of them aren't too interesting. Constellation 2 is kind of nice because it also grants his shield to other active characters, so basically if you're playing a lot of multiplayer, this is quite nice, otherwise it's basically useless. And I think he has one of the strongest Constellation 6 in the game because it heals active characters for a percentage of incoming damage if they are shielded by Zhongli. And this is obviously incredibly valuable because it essentially makes Zhongli a healer and frees up another entire slot in your team composition for another damage character. As for weapon choices, an easy choice for him is the Favonius Lance. It basically covers all his energy needs, so you don't have to care about energy recharge on artifacts at all. But if you want him to deal some damage, you could pick something like the Catch, but you probably don't want to strip it of characters like Raiden or Zhang Ling. So another good weapon for him would be anything with crit rate or crit damage as substat. Unfortunately, this kind of weapon is locked behind the Battle Pass or the Star Glitter shop or 5-star weapons, so until you get one of these, I wouldn't worry too much about this character's damage stats. And that's exactly what I did. My artifacts are actually very low investment, and we already covered substats earlier. As for main stats, you always want HP percentage in this slot, always a geo damage bonus in this slot, and always crit rate or crit damage in the last slot, whichever one balances your stats better. And for the set effect, there is only one really good option in my opinion, and that is the Tenacity of the Millilith. It's another attack buff for your team, basically another noblesse set. As for team compositions, Zhongli is a support character, so you want to pair him with a second support character, a main DPS, and a healer. Pretty much any healer works, most people prefer Bennett, so I just pick him here for now, and Zhongli provides a very big shield and he lowers resistances to any element, which makes him very flexible, so he basically can work in any team composition imaginable. So for example, you could pick something like Ganyu Zhangling in these two slots, it will work, something like Diluc Jingshou, or something like Child Venti, and it will just work, he will provide value. But the thing with these elemental reaction comps is there are better options, speaking of Anemo characters, to lower resistances and deal way more damage. So it's not ideal, but if you just want Zhongli to keep your characters alive with the big shield, it's definitely viable. That being said, there are some team compositions in which Zhongli actually excels in, and that are mono damage teams. For example, Zhao as a main DPS plus Albedo as a support. You get your Geo Resonance, you lower the resistances with Zhongli, he gets some extra value, which is really nice. And you also get your physical teams, for example Razor or Eula, plus a Superconduct, so another Cryo character or Electro character, whichever one you need to activate it. So something like this. And this is just really strong, Zhongli obviously lowering the physical resistance in this team. And you get your Geo team as well, for example Ito or Ningguang, and you get your Geo Resonance and you lower the Geo Resistance with Zhongli, which also increases damage. And you can pick something like Venti here to group up enemies for Ningguang and get more value of the C1. And now for the showcase. Honestly, there isn't too much there. All you do on this character is hold down the elemental skill and then press the elemental burst skill and you are pretty much done. So it's basically as simple as it can get. And then you just switch to your main DPS or other supports and do whatever you have to do on them. And for now, I'm gonna leave you with some Abyss gameplay and come back at the end of the video. Really quickly though, this boss fight actually showcases Zhongli's strength and weaknesses really well, because you can pretty much face tank anything without even taking damage, but you also don't have too much damage on your own. You're basically relying on Ito to do all the work by himself. So usually in a higher team composition you would have enough damage to push the boss instantly to 30% and trigger his invincibility phase and minion phase at the same time. In this team composition you trigger the minion phase first though, and then after it's done you trigger his damage phase where he gets stunned, and you can't kill him there because you will trigger his invincibility phase during that, which is definitely a big time loss.
Attaboy! Pull in!
Stabilize. Order guide you.
Bam! Press the advantage! Charge! Who wants some of this? Attaboy! Can't catch me.
Solidify. I will have order.
Shake your hand! Bam! Oni coming through! Ha! Attaboy! Rally!
Stabilize. Order guide you.
Let's roll! Charge!
Stabilize. I will have order.
Attaboy! It's showtime! Bam!
Alright, we made it to the end. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this gave you some inspiration for your own bits. Stay tuned for more videos. Until then, have fun and bye bye.